Hello everyone, happy Sunday. Today we're doing a chicken thigh, sweet potato, green bean, and spinach meal prep. So again, those of you who are looking through my Instagram, we also stream this through YouTube and Twitch. So if you want to go there, we have a camera coming down on my workspace, so it's a better viewing experience. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I chopped up 4 medium sweet potatoes and have the oven preset to 400. So I diced them up. So I guess I can show you guys here because I have a few left. So it's about like a disc. We're going to chop it like 2 ways length side and then 2 ways the other side. So
putting a little hashtag in it.
Yes, there you go.
Actually, here's a good age test for you. When you see the pound sign, do you think number or hashtag?
I know.
That's a good question. I don't know, honestly, because like now that you said that, now I'm aware.
It's like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
what? So here's another good one. When you hear, do you think Dr. Zoidberg or Curly?
Oh my gosh, Curly, but
Yeah. I don't even know who Dr.
Zoidberg.
Oh, you don't know who Dr. Zoidberg is?
Futurama.
Oh, it's one of Matt Groening's
I don't
TV
watch
shows.
Futurama.
I love it.
I
I've watched that like
um,
at least full through a few times.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna put some olive oil in the sweet potatoes. In a bowl, we're gonna give them a toss. Oops.
Want to move your spinach a little bit?
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right, tossing it up so it just evenly coats all of them. This sucks for my shoulder.
I was gonna say, yeah, it looks very uncomfortable.
It's funny because it's like not too bad, but movements like, oh,
Yeah.
really get it. All right, so I'm gonna put it on the sheet that I already sprayed with olive oil. And then take a wild guess. Kosher salt and pepper.
Is there a particular reason why you use kosher salt over other salts?
I like the taste better, and I know that isn't just regular table salt, the source of it is unknown. It could be a little bit more processed in...
There's some extra chemicals they throw in there and stuff like that.
That's why, I feel like kosher salt's more pure and clean and...
Yeah. Well, the problem that you run into, not necessarily with kosher salt, but with a lot of those like boutique salts, is they don't have iodine added to them. And iodine actually is something you definitely do need some of.
All right, you know what?
There we go.
We'll do half and half.
And I think it's unfortunately the best source of iodine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, now I got some.
Yeah.
All right, so I did half kosher salt, half table salt, and then I'm doing some pepper. I think I did enough. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So for me, preferably, sweet potatoes already have enough flavor, so you don't really have to put too much on it. So I'm gonna throw it in. It's already preheated to 400, so that's gonna be about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, set the timer so I don't forget. Nope. 20 minutes on that bad boy. Start. Okay, I'll do the chicken next. So I already cleaned the chicken and cut the fat off. So a trick with fat on chicken is I use scissors. Obviously make sure that they're clean first. But I personally think it's just so much easier to just cut it versus using a knife.
You know, I used to always cut it with a knife until I saw you cutting it with scissors. I was like, that is such a good idea, and it has saved me so much time and frustration.
It's so much easier, and then even if you need to cut it into bite-sized pieces, like chop it,
still
use scissors too, but obviously make sure they're clean, but yeah, ever since then I've just been using it.
I know, it's funny, like, we get so used to using certain utensils.
I know, that we don't think of a more convenient, like, efficient way,
Yeah,
it's funny.
Well, this is kind of, like, off that topic, but, when you get a Chinese food and stuff, the Chinese food box is a plate. It's like things like that.
You can unput it. What? Yeah. Mind blown.
And the whole time... Nobody knows.
I know, it's awful, it's crazy.
I love those type of things.
I know, like
Little secret life hacks that you never realized or knew.
Yeah, same thing with those little paper, like,
the ketchup things.
The ketchup things, you just pull the edges and it just opens up so you can dip your fries in. You know what I mean?
Those the little paper cups that you dispense ketchup into, those be...
Yes.
No way.
Yeah, you just pull the ends and it makes a little ketchup plate.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
Alright, so I put some olive oil on the chicken thighs, and then I have a mixture of paprika, Italian seasoning, garlic powder, onion powder, and a little bit more salt. So I'm just going to sprinkle that on the thighs that are coated in olive oil. And then it's also on 400 as well with the sweet potatoes, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
These take a little bit longer, around like 35 minutes depending.
The thighs of the sweet potato.
The thighs.
Heavy on the spices. Shoes.
No, I'm not.
Hey, I like...
Listen, this is the recipe, alright?
That's not what your mother says.
Well, you know what? Why is that a bad thing?
You know, really steak is the only meat that I cook that I want my steak to taste like steak. But chicken, I don't know, I like getting crazy with the spices. I do.
Whatever you want.
That's a good point.
Okay. So these are going to go in. You can cover them or uncover them. I'll keep them uncovered. Alright, put that in. That one is, let's see, so 17 minutes left on that, so I'll do, once that ends, I'll do another 10 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes.
Math.
Simple math, I hate simple math. I don't know why my brain just can't comprehend it.
Hey, listen, I add and multiply by 45s, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
What does that mean?
Plates.
Plates at the gym.
Plates.
I figured. Something with the gym.
Alright, and then for our veggie, I'm doing spinach and green beans. So I chopped the green beans in half already. And then I'm just going to saute them in a pan with olive oil and garlic.
Alright.
Super simple.
Ooh, that garlic's gonna smell nice.
Yes.
Now, do you, when you're cooking with garlic, do you just add it into the dish as you're cooking it, or do you brown it a little bit first to kind of get the aroma out of it?
I actually usually just add it in, but sometimes it depends on the recipe I'm making.
Okay.
But you know what? I'm gonna add it in right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's like none left.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
I love that stuff.
There's enough though.
You should talk about that a little bit.
What do you mean?
Just like
the
it's
already
cut
minced
up,
garlic.
So
Yeah, this one's from
Convenient.
Trader Joe's, and it's already minced, so it just saves you so much time. Love it.
Yeah, I used to like get my own garlic cloves and
like,
cut and mash, and it just, that wasn't the process. It was cleaning the tools afterwards that was just so annoying.
Stuck in the little holes.
squishy thing.
Oh.
Pull it
I
out
think
the
we
drawer.
have one.
Yeah. That thing is ridiculous. It
Oh,
gets the
look at
skin.
this still.
A garlic press.
Still stuff in it, yeah, like
Oh, God.
this garlic press.
Don't like to
Still
see
little
that.
pieces of garlic hanging on for dear life.
It
Yeah.
literally is. Alright, so this is about a teaspoon to a tablespoon. Okay, so we're gonna let that garlic brown a bit with some olive oil. And I've actually never put spinach with green beans. Never done that. Like sauteed it.
Me neither.
Okay.
I probably like had it to eat before, but I've never like made it for meal prep.
Well, the green beans definitely will take longer to cook than the spinach, but...
Yes. That's why I'll throw in the spinach towards the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Spinach.
Isn't it great how you
It's
put
gonna be
like...
this much left.
you put the whole bag
I
of
know.
spinach in, and then it's just like this little bit.
Yes.
We need so much spinach. Awful. Okay.
By the way, that is not paid advertisement.
What?
The Dunkin' Donuts cup front and
Oh,
center.
Oh yeah, that's definitely.
I wish it was.
No.
we
That'd
just
be nice.
we just really like our dunks around here. That's all.
I like the cold brew. What
Yeah,
do you get?
that's it.
I definitely do enjoy their cold brew. I'm pretty much bread and potatoes when it comes to that though. Just toasted almond black. That's all I need.
Toasted almond.
Mmm. It is really delicious.
What?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Is that like a syrup? What is that? Or is that
So it's a coffee blend.
Yeah.
You've never? Oh wow! If you've never tried it,
my life.
Well,
What?
They have a ton of different like.
I didn't
flavors.
even Wow. I didn't even know that. I'm like super basic, so it's not like. Wow, I'm gonna try that. See, well, is it strong? Because
Well, I mean, if you get it black, yes, absolutely, it's strong.
I find that so when I get just like a regular iced coffee from them, not cold brew, it's kind of watered down.
Yes. So.
Yeah.
One of the things that I discovered, I don't believe they do this all places, but I saw this once upon a time, and it made me nervous about ordering cold brew at Dunks.
Uh-oh.
So
Great.
they ran out of cold brew, so she just grabbed some coffee and poured it over ice.
No
way.
Well,
I guess that's cold, but that's not cold brew.
No. I get nitro cold brew from Starbucks.
Woo!
Actually, do you guys know what makes the difference between a cold brewed coffee and like iced coffee?
Yeah.
Don't they brew it hot and then overnight let it?
No.
So iced coffee, they brew it hot and then you chill it.
No way.
Cold brew coffee is actually like tea seeping. You seep the coffee grounds into cold water for like 24 hours.
Hold on, let me show you. I have a thing.
I always drink cold brew and I never knew that.
So the cool thing about this, the difference between cold brew and iced coffee, cold brew has a sweeter taste to it naturally. You don't have to add sugar.
Yeah.
Because when you introduce heat to the coffee beans, that's what brings out that acidic pH, and that's what causes that bitter taste.
So this is I'm putting this on backwards. So this is what I use for my cold brews. So
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
So this is from Bed Bath & Beyond.
I'm guessing you got it at the Beyond section? Sorry, thank you. I'll be here all day.
Dad jokes. Anyways, so you put in the ground up coffee in here. I put it like up to here. You just put it in here, twist it, and then you fill it up with water.
That's cool.
And then in the morning you just take it out. Dump
Easy
it,
peasy, lemon squeezy.
So what I thought was cold brew is actually just iced coffee.
Nope. So you should try some actual cold brew because it tastes very different.
I do at Starbucks, but now I want to know what they do with the nitro cold brew. How do they?
I think nitro they just like add a. Wait, maybe they do something different. I figured they just added a shot of espresso.
I thought it was processed
No, I feel like there's a different way.
Because it has foam on the top.
Don't they put it
different?
Don't they put it through? Isn't it like a tap?
I'm thinking they like flash freeze, like make it cold with nitro through the tube.
Let's throw it out to our viewers real quick. Do any of you guys out there know why they call it nitro? Like what they do differently that makes it nitro? If not, well, we're gonna look it up and find out.
That's like when we looked up the asparagus in the pea.
Yes.
Oh my god.
That's funny. All week. It was so bad. I was like at the gym and I was like self-conscious. I was like, people smell this?
No.
Oh, it was so bad. And like I would forget. And I'm like, what the heck is wrong with you?
That's right.
They pump it with nitrogen.
Who said that? Taryn?
Yeah.
Is that for real?
I guess that, but I didn't want to sound like stupid because that seems obvious.
But like, they pump it with nitrogen.
He said could be making that up.
I think he's making it up.
Okay, yeah.
I think he's
No,
making
I mean
it up.
it makes sense though.
Yeah, so infused with nitrogen gas.
All right.
So is there
Don't
any?
quote me. I gotta find a good source.
Yeah.
So Scott, watching on YouTube, would love to go back to talking about the meat at any point right now.
The what?
He'd like to talk about the meat rather than us talking about us being basic white girls.
Oh!
I figured we were getting a little bit
Sorry, guys. Anyways, so I am just sauteing these. Like Dan said, they do take a little bit because they're dense. The spinach is going to be super quick, so I'll add that towards the end. But that's pretty much it for my meal prep. I mean, the chicken takes a little bit to cook. The potatoes have about 10 minutes left. So, I'm trying to think of any other, facts about meal prep that people could benefit from. Because I remember actually, my boyfriend and I, Taryn, were talking about how when we first started, we made super intricate meals. So his name is actually Fitman Cook, and he had this cookbook, but it was like I think it was a chicken breast that you slice in half and then you fill it with like mozzarella and like you fill it with stuff. But it never came out right. Like for some reason it never came out right, and then we slowly transitioned into making simple meals, which was less time consuming and just easier.
I think that's honestly how I started too.
Dove into it and it was too much, so simple.
Well, I think that's where a lot of people going wrong isn't the right term for it, but when people kind of start and they don't know where to start, they go balls to the wall, and it ends up burning you out. Exactly. But I mean, that's like with anything in life. If you try to take it on too hard, too quickly, don't have the right strategy in place, it will absolutely burn you out.
Definitely, and that's definitely didn't burn us out, but we got frustrated. We got very frustrated.
That's probably one of the best basic tips for meal prep. Keep it simple.
Yes, keep it simple. And it's people from the outside looking in who don't meal prep, they're like, oh, that looks boring. But I mean, add the spices that you like to it and cook it the way you like it. You don't have to make things that you don't like. Right. And you can replace things, like if you don't like spinach, don't put spinach, or if you like green beans, do something else.
So honestly, I'm surprised. I love making roasted Brussels sprouts.
Yes.
And I'm surprised so many people would just salt and pepper on them. And they're like, what'd you do to these? I'm like, not much. Like, really, girl. And olive oil, that's it. That's it. And you can't diss something until you try it.
No, that's so true.
So
it's easy to just assume.
Yeah.
When you haven't tried
just because it's not many ingredients doesn't mean it doesn't taste good.
Yep.
And so back to this nitro real quick. They literally attach they infuse it as it goes through. It's basically cold brew like you.
So it's just a quick
form
of making cold brew, kind of. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I wonder if that actually does anything to it.
I know.
Right.
Or
it makes it foamy, that's all I know.
Isn't nitrogen a gas?
Yeah.
And it has to be really cold to be like a solid or a liquid?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's that.
People will just buy anything that makes it stronger. Right?
Yeah.
I would.
Pull for it.
Me too.
Well, I've had a nitrogen ice cream before, which
I've heard
that's
those.
similar, right?
it burns your mouth because it's so cold.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they make it with alcohol, it's great. Speaking of which, quick shout out to a local place for any of you people who are local to us. The Speakeasy in Hudson. It doesn't have an actual name, and if you don't know where it is or how to find it, you won't be able to find it. But they also serve nitrogen ice cream, and it's alcohol-based ice cream, and it is phenomenal. I mean, yes, it does absolutely burn your mouth because of how cold it is, but it's very temporary, and it's delicious. So shameless plug.
So that entire bag of spinach is now this.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, spinach.
Oh, spinach.
Still working,
I love you, but I hate you.
Yeah, so I did a class for my sister here on older nutrition in adults, whatever.
That was so much fun.
I know, and every time I'm going to suggest food to them, it's always green leafy vegetables,
So basically, to give you more background on that, my sister went to go into my work. I work in geriatrics, and we did a lecture on nutrition for them. And we went over the nutrients that they could be deficient in, and that the majority of that population is deficient in, and the options of food that has that nutrient in it. And a lot of it was just green leafy vegetables.
Or just leafy vegetables in general. And that's if you add that to your diet, you're meeting so many needs. Iron is in spinach. You can barely find iron in much food, plant foods at all. So superfood.
I love spinach.
Me too.
I have it for breakfast.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have it with an omelet, but I don't know if I'd just have spinach for breakfast.
I love it just sauteed with olive oil and with my eggs, not in my eggs, but.
Okay.
I love it.
So those egg muffins, I made egg muffins the other day, last weekend. Yeah, so just put it in the little tins with some tomato and spinach. It was so good.
Oh, egg muffins are amazing.
Yeah.
So quick, so easy.
The trick to that, though, is, which I learned the hard way, is put in your vegetables first.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Because if you put the eggs in, then you don't know how much to add, and then it's just overflows. So put like the vegetables in and then put your egg in.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. This particular recipe had me mix the chopped up spinach with the eggs in a bowl and then put it in.
Put it in as a mixture?
As a mixture, and then put the tomatoes on top, which is weird.
Huh.
But it makes sense because the tomatoes are typically more bulky, so.
Sounds like that would work absolutely fine.
It works really good.
Alright, so these aren't done yet, but I'm just gonna give them
are you gonna do
toss.
the quick braise, make them a little crispy?
Oh yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
But it's just tough with the chicken.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because they're both in there.
Yeah.
So in the effort of saving time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to post where you guys can find our Twitch channel and YouTube channel if you want a better view.
Yeah.
I'm gonna post it as a comment on Instagram in a minute.
Right, so that has about 3 minutes left. It looks like it might need a little bit more for the potatoes. So, it's kind of dark today.
Yeah, I showed up here, it was blue skies,
Yeah. Rain.
and then, Victoria was saying, oh yeah, it's supposed to rain today, and then it just got dark.
Yeah, right.
Sorry. Yeah, it's supposed to rain around 2, at least where we are.
Great, now we're talking about the weather.
I know, what are we doing?
We're so basic.
Oh god.
Health facts,
I know,
weather.
sorry. Let's see, what else can we talk about?
Well, I suppose we could start kind of breaking into our topic for today.
Yeah.
Success, failure, and the psychology of change. So before we really dive into, I guess you'd say more like the scientific aspect of it, let's just kind of take a minute to do a little round room. Oh, hold on, we got a request to see Riley.
Oh.
He doesn't like to be picked up, but I'll pick him up for you.
Oh, he doesn't like when you. I'll get him.
Okay.
Well, I guess not.
Wait. I got you guys. Hold on.
Well, actually, if you could get him onto the rug in the kitchen and just have him sit, I think everybody will be able to see him nice.
God.
And now we've moved on to trying to
We
get
are
the
very off topic today.
Got him.
There we go. Oh, yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah?
Oh, Riley.
So he turned 14. He's an old man. Let's see. What can you do?
You can do high
You can do
five.
high
You can
five.
spin.
Oh, look at that.
Spin. Come on. Spin.
Good boy.
Well, okay, maybe not. Sit. Lay down.
Speak.
Oh, yeah.
Aw, what a good goober.
Speak. Okay, you choose first. Speak. Speak.
Oh,
Speak.
Ooh,
Woo! That was
there
a
it
good
is.
one. Sometimes he just sneezes. Like, that is not speak.
Thank you, Riley. You are quite the showman. We appreciate you being our guest today on today's show. So, as far as success, failure, change, all that kind of fun stuff is concerned, I'm curious, what instances of success and failure have you kind of encountered in your life where maybe you didn't recognize it at first that failure was the road towards the success, or...
You have a good one? Yeah, go first.
All right.
Okay.
Lay it on us.
So, I attended UMass Amherst for a year and a half and got very stressed out and felt that I had not been doing my best and had to, in the middle of a semester, I left, which cost a lot of money to my parents as well, so it was a very tough decision. But 2 years later, I ended up going to Framingham State, which was closer, and I ended up coming into the coordinated program in dietetics, which is one of the top 10 dietetics program in the country, and everything happens for a reason, and I felt like a failure at that time, but it brought me here in a much better path.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times, even clients who I've worked with, just encountering similar things to that, where you were faced with this obstacle, and you ended up leaving or running away from it just to feel bad, but it was necessary. It was what you needed to drive you towards where you were supposed to be.
Absolutely. And even though that time in between was tough, I learned a lot. So, yeah.
All right.
So I honestly can't think of a really big specific example in my life.
That's right. Danielle's
honestly.
perfect. She's never failed at anything.
No, I've had a lot of little mini failures, but I've never.
I got one for you.
Yeah, I can't.
When you first tried to gain weight in bulk, you didn't do very well at first, and then you tried a second time around this year. And
that's true.
So talk about that.
That's a good time. So for me, my specific goal is to gain muscle, and I'm an ectomorph, so I'm a hard gainer. So the first time around, I wanted to bulk, so that just means eating in a surplus, so just eating more than you're burning, and I failed at first because I guess I don't know, I just didn't eat enough, and I just didn't understand that it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be easy. You're going to be full. Like, of course you're going to be full.
You think it would be easy to eat a lot.
Exactly. I was like, oh, I got this. And then I kind of just gave up, and I failed. Yeah. And then the second time around, I strategized better, and I was gaining weight.
So you'd say that you probably learned some lessons from the first time that you were able to then apply to your second time around to create that success.
Yes, exactly.
So that brings us to a really good parallel. We're so afraid of failure. I don't mean like, we in particular, but I mean in general, a lot of people are afraid to fail. They're afraid that, it'll reflect on them as their moral character, like who you are as a person. Oh, I'm a failure. But when you really boil it down, without failure, there is no success. Everything would just be okay all the time. And this.
And what fun is that?
And not only that, but what are you learning? Yeah. You can't learn to overcome something if you're not failing at it. Here's great, perfect example if we want to take a little trip down memory lane back to our childhood. Hold on, we got a message on the YouTube real quick. So Scott has told you that if you are really looking to gain weight, beer works really well. Just drink a whole bunch of it.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
I only like Corona.
Any alcohol.
That's not even beer, so it doesn't count.
But if we could take a trip down memory lane, think back to when you were a child and you were learning to write your name for the first time. How frustrating was that? Mm-hmm. How many times did you fail at making simple letters? And then all of a sudden, one day, you could write your name.
Yeah.
You could write more than your name. You were writing "the cat chased the ball" because screw the dog. Or things like that. Or another great example from that, tying your shoe.
Yeah.
Who as an adult has to actually think about how they tie their shoe? But when you were a kid, you probably had to go through quite a bit of trial and error, develop your own technique and style. Is the bunny rabbit chasing the squirrel around the tree and looping through the hole, or whatever little rhyme somebody taught you to help you learn how to tie your shoes. Although some of us, we never quite got past that, so we just got Velcro, and it's been great. I'm just kidding. I do know how.
Like the foam cords.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, I forgot about that. Jelly shoes, remember those?
Oh yeah.
But as a child, it was frustrating, right?
Yeah.
Like, remember all the things you failed at as a kid who just, quite honestly, human children are pretty useless. Like, we are one of the most useless things in the animal kingdom. I mean, we are so useless that if we did not have parents, we would not survive. Just absolutely not.
That's a good point.
A lot of other mammals, they're fairly self-sufficient right out of the womb.
Yeah,
not all of them,
because
of course,
have no choice,
but it's one of those things. So think about all the things you had to fail at just to learn how to do it right.
Yeah.
And now you don't even think about those things anymore. You don't even fail at them anymore because it's just so second nature.
It's motor memory now, especially the shoe time.
So that plays into a lot of the things that happen to us later in life. And I'd almost go as far to argue from a psychological standpoint that children who aren't allowed to fail at things, like, parents swoop in to kind of do everything for them, they have absolutely no way to deal with failure, learning, and success as an adult. So to all of you parents out there, helicopter parents, I mean, I'm one of them. I have a 4-legged child. He's covered in fur. But my God, am I a helicopter parent. It took me quite a while to kind of back off from that and let him make his own mistakes. But, since kind of figuring that out, my dog has developed a lot more, confidence in everything that he does. I mean, he's definitely not a little puppy anymore, but...
Yeah, I mean, I always I kind of think back I do have a lot of failures in life.
Oh,
and I do think back to them all the time, but I also say that's maybe who I am.
But
I would never trade any of those failures.
No.
Even though they're really, really tough, I wouldn't trade them for the world because I would not be here.
Absolutely.
For sure. For sure.
So I had a couple other really good examples that I want to pull up.
Failure.
So, stress and anxiety. We hear those words and we're like, oh. Well, anxiety is actually a very normal human response. Like, to be blunt, we are cucumbers with anxiety. We are mostly water, and we are anxious. We are anxious about everything. We are anxious about good things. We are anxious about bad things. We are anxious about different things. We are anxious about things that stay the same.
And things that don't exist.
Everything.
Exactly. Now, that being said, stress is your response to an anxiety. Anxiety can run an entire gambit. It can be very minor, minuscule, something that doesn't really kind of throw your day off. Or it can be crippling and make it so even the simplest tasks, like picking up the phone and ordering a pizza, is just not something you can handle. So everyone's going to experience anxiety differently. Social anxiety, anxiety of failing at a task, which tends to lead to procrastination, things like that. So anxiety is how we respond to environments, specifically environments that are outside of our comfort zone or our preferred routines. Now, stress is the chemical and physical wear that we place on our bodies, our minds, from the anxiety we experience. When we're faced with anxieties, we approach them with one of two mechanisms. We have fight and we have flight. Fight is that mechanism where you're pretty much going to take it head on. You're going to accomplish whatever you set out to, or at least try. And flight is the exact opposite. It's where you shy away from it. You retreat. You try to keep yourself in a less anxiety-ridden place. Now, both of those mechanisms are healthy. Both of them have their place in the human response to your environment. For example, if there is a bull charging at you, you probably should not fight. You should probably flight. But if you've got a test coming up that you need to study for, you should probably fight. Sit down, study, don't flight, don't run away from that kind of anxiety. And those are just two very basic examples of the whole response, but when you boil it down to very basic human emotion and triggers to the environment, that's what you get. They are both healthy. You shouldn't feel bad for flighting from something, and you shouldn't feel bad for fighting something. But learning when to fight and when to flight can definitely help you not be so stressed out about anxieties. So we talked a little bit about, children and how they fail a lot at everything and they're pretty much useless until they figure their stuff out. But we never really get away from that as we're adults either.
No.
We start to expand the list of tasks that we try. Let's say you decided you're going to take up horseback riding. Well, you don't just hop onto a horse and you're instantly good at it. You've got to learn how to ride a horse. You have to develop the motor skills, the motor patterns. And, if you're not prepared to fall off the horse and get back on again, you're not going to learn anything that's going to keep you in that practice. You're eventually going to run away from it, and then it'll just be something that you never finished or never learned. This parallel is one of the things that I absolutely love about the gym. There is no better visual representation of failure and success than in the gym. Because quite frankly, if your body does not approach that zone where you're starting to fail, and I don't mean literally failing to the point where you drop a barbell across your neck. I mean failing as in you're presenting your body and your muscles with a stimuli that it's otherwise not used to and not prepared for. That's what drives change. That's what drives your success and your PRs. You can't hit a PR every single time in the gym. You have to acclimate to the anxiety, you have to acclimate to the stress, and then you have to build a resistance and a tolerance. You develop your coping mechanisms or your training strategy. You attack the program. And over time, suddenly, what was once stressful to your body now feels like second nature, similar to everything else. So what we do is we then increase the stress of the stimuli. Boom. PR. So I always love to parallel the gym and just life in general, because
So true.
if you can fail in the gym, you can fail anywhere else in life. You may not have just figured out the right pattern for yourself yet. So we already talked a little bit about some of the things that we've encountered as failures and successes, our own personal trials of learning. Do you guys have any more that you could think of off the top of your head?
Failures. Let's see. The top of my head. I feel like I should know these things.
Oh, okay. So I have like a very different one. So I just realized I've been trying to snowboard for a long time.
That's a great one.
And like I just feel like so also it's a mental game, I think, and I just wasn't in it. I wanted to do it, but once you put your mind to it, so this year I finally did that, and I got significantly better. I swear, I've been trying. I actually looked up. I've been trying for the past like 9 years.
Really?
I mean, obviously not every year, but still, that's a long span of time.
Sure.
And this entire time, I wanted to do this, but not enough.
Yes.
So then I finally said, you know what? I'm going to focus on this and put my energy towards this, and that's it. That's all it took. And now I feel like I have not failed at that this year.
Right. So it's like you decided to practice.
Yeah, to actually do it. Like, I would just throw myself out there and be like, oh, well, hopefully it will come to me at some point. No, you actually have to try. And put your head, especially your mind to it.
Yeah,
your mind's powerful.
That reminds me a lot of when I was teaching myself to ice skate last year. So for anyone who didn't know, I've lived in New England most of my life, most of my adult life, a good chunk of my childhood. And I just learned how to ice skate last year.
Really?
Yep.
Yay!
Interesting.
So what it was is, you know, I put skates on, and I'd kind of been skating before I could, like, get moving.
Yeah.
But, you know, I couldn't stop, I couldn't turn, I couldn't... Pardon us, everybody, while we get the fire department here. Woohoo! There we go.
Alright, we're good.
But anyways, with the whole ice skating thing,
Yeah.
so I got myself a pair of ice skates. I put them on. I went to the ice rink 3 days a week for an hour with the intent on practicing. So one day I would work on just trying to stop. And it was one of those things where it was a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
You know, just like, all right, I'm going to turn my body now and whee, flying across the ice.
Yeah, trial and error.
And, you know, after throwing myself to the ground what felt like 100 times, all of a sudden, I caught the right edge and I stopped.
Yes.
So then I kind of recalled, all right, what did I just do that worked? You know, what was it that made that happen? So then I tried to repeat those same scenarios in which I stopped. And all of a sudden, more times than not, I was starting to succeed. I was able to stop. All right, now I can stop on my right foot. Let's try the left. Whee! Fall right over. All right, well, I remember what it felt like on the right side. Let's kind of try to mimic that feeling on the left. Sure enough, over time, practicing with that mentality, with that intent of what I was trying to do, I was able to stop.
So going off of that, I think another really important thing is to have a plan.
Yes.
So you could easily say, I'm going to meal prep. This week I'm going to start meal prepping. And then Sunday comes around, but you have not planned it, you have not researched, you have not made a grocery list. So how do you figure that you're going to meal prep? So I think an overlooked huge portion of being successful is planning, making a plan, executing.
And I'm so glad you brought that up, because that is the perfect segue into our next topic, which is the psychology of change. So we've discussed a lot about, you know, failing to succeed and all that jazz. And Danielle brings up a perfect point. Without a plan, without some kind of rubric in place, you know, you're really just kind of barking at the dark. You know, sorry, Riley. So when we look at the model of change as it applies to psychology, we have 4 very distinct steps. The first step, or the first stage, is what we call the thinking stage. This is the stage where you're like, hey, I want to make a change, or I want to make this change, or wouldn't it be awesome if I could do this, or oh man, I really would love to do that. So you start to think, okay, what is it that I want? What is this thing that I'm thinking about so much? So just to give you a parallel, we'll start with the ice skating. I wanted to know how to ice skate. I wanted to learn how to ice skate. That was my thinking stage.
Should we do meal prep? So it's like they can apply it?
Oh, yeah, no, actually, that's even better. Let's do that. Okay, so thinking about it, I want to eat healthier. I want to have meals prepped. I want to do this. I want to meal prep. I'm thinking about meal prepping. Okay, so we've thought about meal prepping. Now it's time to move into the second stage. The second stage of this model is the planning stage. So this is the portion where you actually put your plan together, be like, okay, I want to meal prep, I want to eat healthier, I want to have those meals ready. What's my plan? All right, well, I need to grocery shop. I need to have a recipe. I need to have all my utensils. I need to set the time aside to do it. All right, I've got a plan now. The third stage, which is where we move on to from the planning stage, becomes the action stage. Now, these first 3 stages are typically where people will spend the most time going back and forth, getting to stage 3, regressing to stage 2, only to move back to stage 3, and sometimes falling all the way back to stage 1.
That's where failure comes in.
Yes. Stage 3, the action stage, is where you can actually fail. You were just thinking about it in stage 1. You were making your plan in stage 2. You're putting it to the test in stage 3. When you fail at stage 3, because quite frankly, you will fail at stage 3, you go back to stage 2. You learn from that failure and you change the plan. You adapt the plan. All right, so I planned to meal prep. I did all this stuff. I set the time aside. I got to my day. I set my plan in action. I didn't have enough time. I failed. I was not able to complete my meal prep because I didn't have enough time. I go back to stage 2. I start working on my plan again. Well, clearly I need a little bit more time, or I need to figure out ways to shave or save time. Now I've got a new plan. Back into the action stage with the revised, edited version. I've already taken one crack at it, so it's going to be a little bit easier that second time. Let's say I get it right. All right, that worked out. We do it again, and again, and again. Suddenly, I've done it 4 or 5 times, everything's been going well, but then we hit another snag. I ran into a situation where I didn't buy enough food. Crap. All right, let's go back to our planning stage. How do we avoid that? How do we make that out? All right, as part of our grocery list, we're going to do, increments and portions. We're going to figure out how much of each food we need. Now I've got an even more refined plan. Back to the action stage. Boom, 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 boom. Success coming out everywhere. All of a sudden, 3 months later, I've hit it pretty much every time on the mark without missing or failing. Suddenly, I don't have to think about it anymore. Suddenly, I don't have to plan anymore. My meal prep has become second nature. We've now entered into the 4th and final stage, maintenance. The maintenance stage is where all of your habits, your routines currently reside. If you get up in the morning, the first thing you do every morning, that is part of your maintenance routine. If you have meal prepped enough where it is second nature, that is part of your maintenance routine. Now, once you've gotten to maintenance, that doesn't mean you can automatically just relax and not put effort in anymore, because you can fall out of maintenance. It can absolutely happen. Now, that being said, once you've achieved maintenance, once you've created a new habit, it is much easier to return to maintenance, but you still have to go through those first 3 stages again.
That's true.
So, with that in mind, thinking, planning, action, maintenance, we are the culmination of our habits. The reason it is so hard to change habits is because it's outside of our maintenance zone. The reason it causes us anxiety is because we have to think about it. We have to plan for it. We have to actually do it. It's not just something that happens because it's part of our routine. And that wraps up our psychology of change. Let's finish up that meal prep and see how awesome it looks.
So another thing that I also want to say to that is when you revise your plan, document what didn't work or what did work. Because
yeah, that's good. You forget.
There could be a big
I wish I took
time.
more notes.
Exactly. I mean, and do also what works for you. But I mean, me, I love notes. So if there's a couple months in between, you could forget what didn't work. So I think a good point is writing it down, and so you remember.
Yeah.
Document.
I mean, if you didn't write it down, that's something you have to hold on to in your brain.
Exactly.
There's already a ton of stuff bouncing around up there. Why make it harder on yourself?
Exactly. Gonna get the.
Oh, there we go.
Not making 2 meals. Okay.
Ooh. For those of you watching on Twitch and YouTube, man, does that look delicious. For those of you on Instagram, I apologize, you can't see the top down, but, just more of a reason to go check us out on Twitch and YouTube. Much better viewing experience.
It's a very cool view.
Yep.
But we still love you, Instagram. We're not going to tell you to go away.
Not yet.
We're going to tell you to go to mybetteruniversity.com.
Yes.
Got to get that plug in.
And then find the Better U TV on the top.
Yes.
Oh, yes, that's actually a really good point. Thank you, Victoria. For those of you that are on Instagram, if you do go to mybetteruniversity.com, surf on over to BUTV, and we do have all the links right there for you, nice and easy, straight to our Twitch, straight to our YouTube. Danielle's Instagram's also up there, and we've got our Facebook group as well as a link up there.
Yes. So just putting these in.
Wow, those look really green.
I know.
Good.
I've never done it with a combination. Now that I'm making meal prep recipes, I have to get a little creative. Because I'm a very plain eater, so. But when other people are involved, I want to spice it up. So if you guys are just tuning in, we did green beans with spinach. I sauteed it in olive oil and minced garlic. And we talked about how the minced garlic I got already minced in a container, which is super convenient because nobody likes mincing garlic.
Nope.
Or cleaning up.
Or cleaning it.
Well, yeah, it's not the mincing or the smashing.
No, that's actually kind of fun. I like that. It's satisfying.
It's just cleaning that darn tool.
Yes, that is a lot. All right, so just evenly dividing my veggies. Okay.
Oh man, that smells so good. Woo!
All right, the chicken. We're getting this one. Alright, does that smell good?
Look at that.
This is a little small.
He's a little chicken.
Oops.
Whoa, flying chicken.
Flying chicken. Flying chicken.
Riley's watching. He's like, hey, is that piece going to fly off? Yeah?
I know, he is so deaf, but his sense of smell is certainly still there.
Well, don't your other senses become super powered if you lose one?
Yeah. I'm not sure with age though.
No, probably not.
No, yeah.
But dogs have pretty powerful snoofers.
Yeah.
They smell like the same way we taste.
Yeah, it's crazy. Imagine that.
That would be ridiculous.
That would be crazy.
I could not imagine if my brain could pick up just so many little nuances from a smell.
No, I would be so distracted.
Yeah, that's probably why dogs have ADD.
Yeah.
And when you're out walking with them, they're just like.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, smell, everything, everywhere, woo.
Yes.
I like to say they're checking their pee mail.
I don't know if you guys saw my Instagram story, but Karen and I rescued a dog this weekend.
What?
Really?
I didn't see it.
You didn't see it?
No.
Oh! So we were on our way home from Boston, and we actually missed the exit, so we were in Shrewsbury. But it's weird how stuff is meant to be like that. We missed the exit and then we found this dog.
Yeah.
So anyways, we were driving down the street and we saw a lot of cars stopping, and it was a main road. And we saw a little white dog running down the sidewalk. I'm like, oh my god. So we stopped, and then I think people were just too scared. I mean, of course, you don't know the dog. You don't know if it's going to bite. You don't know if it's rabid. So, I mean, we're dog lovers, so we don't even think of that. So
just dog!
Like, yeah, we're just like, dog, save the dog! So we sprang into action. We jumped out of the truck, and he actually picked up the dog. Turns out the dog is blind.
Oh, wow.
The dog was blind.
How did you know that?
So we knew because its hearing its sense was heightened because it was blind. Well, yeah, because it was blind. So it was just constantly like looking all over the place, and maybe the scent too. But it was so sad. So we brought him to the police station. Long story short, and his owner picked him up the next day. But it was so sad.
Oh, we have a quick question from our YouTube. Any idea how many calories are in each of those meals?
Yes, actually, if you subscribe to
shameless plug
to our weekly meal preps recipes, you will see. I don't know honestly off the top of my head, but I do calculate them for each meal. I used to weigh them out, but I find that too tedious. So if you just portion size it equally in between each meal, that is good enough. But I don't have.
Speaking of which, I will pull that up and I will answer your question for you. But yes, so again, shameless plug. If you do sign up for our subscription service, all the meals we prepare, you get a copy of the recipe guide. It breaks it down for you step by step, and it also gives you the calorie count per meal.
Next week we're doing shredded chicken burrito bowls.
Ooh, yummy.
Okay, so that's it.
Nice.
Looks really good. Very colorful. Love me some colors. Also, if any of you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yeah, Q&A time.
Yeah, we do have like 5 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
The last time I looked at the clock, it was 11:30. I cannot believe that was that quick.
So real quick, for those for our YouTube viewer asking, each of these meals contains about 446 calories. So obviously, for somebody who needs a little bit more, you increase the portion sizes. For somebody who needs a little bit less, you decrease the portion sizes.
That's a pretty good standard, like 500 calories for lunch-ish.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, if we're recommending, between a 1,500 and 2,000 calorie diet for the modern American, that's like 3 to 4 meals.
Yeah. Exactly, and I have a lot of snacks.
Right.
I eat very frequently, so my lunch tends not to be too big, but yeah.
This was fun. I enjoyed today. I had fun talking about success, failure, the psychology of change, and I always love smelling the meals as they're cooking.
The garlic.
Oh, yes. So we'll keep the channel open for like another 60 seconds or so, guys. If any of you have any questions you want to go over, chit-chat a little bit. Otherwise, that's our show for today.
Yeah.
So we'll end up with our usual shameless plugs as we're rolling on out. So I'm Dan, Danielle, our wonderful cook, Victoria over on the other side, our registered dietitian. Together we are the curators of Better University. It is an online-based platform in which we cherish education of nutrition, fitness, health, and wellness. We are not your average fitness website. We are all about the education and bringing great educational content to you guys so that way you have all the tools you need to succeed on your own. Pretty much what you were supposed to go to school for in the first place.
Yeah.
Learning the tools to succeed on your own. Because unfortunately, you're not going to have... oh no, I think we hit the end of our live on Instagram.
Oh, really? No. Wait, I'm still up here, right?
Oh, never mind, you're still there. It just froze for a second. All right. So, shameless plug time. We've got a really great program that we run. It is called our Clean and Lean Challenge. It is a 6-week adventure in which we take you through the ins and outs of learning how to eat less processed foods and identifying processed foods. We also have a subscription service. $5 a month will get you every single meal we prep. Woo. But other than that, guys, honestly, the reason we do this every week, it isn't for the shameless plugs. We do that because, quite honestly, we have to keep the lights on somehow. But the real reason we do this is we love connecting with you guys. We love providing great information. We're all teachers at heart, even though we aren't actually teachers under the Board of Education. But we want to see everybody succeed. We want to help as many people as possible. And if you guys didn't tune in and hang out, we'd have nobody to help.
Exactly.
So, thank you.
Right, exactly.
Thank you very much for watching today's show. If you missed anything, today was a pretty gosh darn good show. Great topics, great food. I encourage you to hit up our YouTube page and watch the replay. Other than that, yeah, have a great day, everybody. Enjoy your Sunday.
Sunday food.
And we'll catch you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Bye, guys.